You're tuned to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is the Acupuncture On Air program. Our pleasure, as always, to have in the hot seat Heiko from the Acupuncture Clinic in Hastings. How you going, Heiko?
I'm very good, Ken, and you?
Oh, can't complain. Not a bad sort of day when we're recording this.
Got any trips planned for Wellington or anything?
Oh, I'm going to see Shania Twain.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not even sure when that is. And the boss organises it all, and I just follow along behind. But yeah, that should be a good show.
Well, you could organise. I'd go follow you,
yeah.
And you probably wouldn't even notice.
That's right.
Another couple of tickets.
Exactly. Anyway, acupuncture for fibromyalgia. That's a hard word even to say, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm sure that you have heard of it.
I have heard of it, yes. It's not a very nice thing.
Know the exam, or what is it and what happens, or do you know?
No, I don't know what it is. Well, tell us what it is.
Yeah, well, one of the, I think the keynote symptoms for it is pain. And it's I guess a disease or a classification of some symptoms that's only been around sort of for a shorter time, maybe 20, 30 years. Before that, it was never, I don't think the word was around then. And it gets a bit complicated because even now when they have like a conference in the States or something, the annual fibromyalgia conference or something, all the specialists, the doctors and the physicians, they get together and they don't actually all agree on, what actually are the signs and symptoms. And because it's not something where they can just decide to do a blood test. Oh, there's a blood test. Oh, yeah, that's hepatitis. We can measure that.
Yeah, that's weird.
They've sort of managed to compile like a list of symptoms that the people get, but and the pain is in sort of specific areas, and of course, like I can't sort of show you on the radio, but yeah, you'll be able to go to my blog on the website later and have a look, and there is like a chart where you'll see certain spots that come up. It does tend to affect more the upper body and maybe some of the top of the thighs or whatever.
Sweet.
And
what's the cause of it? Well,
again, from a Western point of view, they don't really know. They suspect that it might be environmental, it could be toxins, and there's been various theories. People say, it might be from aluminium pots, and it might be from additives in the food, it might be from insecticides in the vegetables, it might be from antibiotics in the there's all these different things, but they can say as a general thing, there's a thing. And then other physicians have said, no, it's in the head. It's like the patients are making it up.
It's psychosomatic.
Yeah, and to make that even more complicated is that some doctors, whatever, they even prescribe like antidepressants or even epilepsy drugs in their quest, if you like, to try to relieve the pain.
Although if I just wind the tape back just a little bit, you mentioned that it's been around for about 20 or 30 years and we called it fibromyalgia then, but it might have been around for 500 years and we just called it something different.
That's right, and there is that crossover where some doctors and physicians, they'll get and say, well, look, you might have irritable bowel syndrome with a couple of aches and pains, or you might be having migraines with a thing. So there's often, it overlaps with other problems.
Yeah. Must be hard to treat. So, I mean, how would the Chinese look at fibromyalgia? How would they diagnose it?
Yeah, so again, we look at it quite different, and it's interesting. There's been a little bit of research, I think it must have been last year it came out, where some doctors / researchers, physicians, they found out that there was something to do with an increase of blood vessels in their hand. And then this was then relating back to some kind of lactic acid release. And that was quite interesting because one of the treatments that some acupuncturists do is we actually call it bloodletting, where we actually will needle a little bit and let out tiny little drops of blood.
Like in the old days?
Yeah, but it's not like you're getting out a pint of blood, but you're getting out maybe a few mils of it. Yeah. And in Chinese medicine, they said it's to let out the toxins out of the blood.
Wow.
And then there, ironically, is there one of the areas that we do is this area that the scientists have found that has this increased these blood vessels, and So yeah, that's from a Chinese medicine point of view. The way we explain that is that we have our sort of our main 12 meridians, lung, spleen, kidneys, and so forth, and then running off these tracks, if you like, or meridians, are little side tracks that sort of be like a little canal that goes to a lake, and then this sort of equates to where the lymph nodes and the lymph glands are.
Yeah.
And then and we know in Western medicine or science, they collect toxins and pathogens and things like that. So your first line of defence.
Yeah.
And so that we look at to treat fibromyalgia is to treat these. Well, they're called law vessels, or they're but I just call them they're like little sort of little canals with a lake that store junk.
Yeah.
So we need to clear that out, and one of them is it correlates then to the where these painful areas sometimes are relate to these areas. The other aspect, because it's often not as simple as all that. There's more than one cause or one imbalance. And another simpler way is we say the spleen, the stomach and the spleen, we say controls the muscles, the flesh. So if there's an imbalance with the spleen and this sort of digestive system, the muscles will suffer, e.g. pain.
Yep.
I
had heard that fatigue could be part of fibromyalgia as well, so it could be that you're just lacking in some vitamins and just going to have a big fat steak and some veggies and you'll be right.
If only it could be so simple, you'd make a good naturopath.
I would be.
Patients could come in, you could charge them a few $100s and say, let's just go home, have a good steak, a few veggies.
Some chips, yeah, that's right.
And wash it down with some apple cider,
Although we're sort of laughing at that, but I think that in this day and age, we sort of get a bit overboard, don't we, with fad stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a pea, pie and potato man, and I've been that way for 64 years. And
look at you.
Look at me.
And you can still get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's
so
right.
You're doing quite well.
So a lot of it could be, just going to have a good steak. But also, just one thing that you mentioned, that bloodletting.
Yeah.
And I wonder people listening to this program might sort of pick up on that and say, well, that's why no one does what you guys say, because it's just that's what they did in the barbershop 500 years ago. Do you find that that's a problem, that if it sounds so simple, just go and get a pen or a razor blade and slash your arm and let some blood out?
Yeah, well, again, the bloodletting technique is, and it's a very common part of acupuncture. But
really?
It's not such a technique that's done so quickly and easily for new patients, because it's already quite foreign, even just coming along and having some needles. And then it's like, then you come along and you have some moxibustion, burning some herb, and then you come along and have some cupping, and then you come along and you have some gua sha, which is like scraping the skin with a thing. And then you can have some bloodletting. So you're quite cautious in doing all this in the first treatment.
We haven't spoken about that before.
Yeah. So, but again, it is a valid form of acupuncture. But again, it's not something that's going to be researched, because then the scientists are going to think, oh no, we're not going to get it. But with time,
absolutely,
they will do that.
So I've got fibromyalgia. I come along and see you. How are you going to treat me with what you do? Yeah,
but I just thought I'd just go back to that statement about the fatigue and the tiredness and the nutrition aspect of it. One of the problems that I think other physicians do with the fibromyalgia is exactly this: is where you say, oh, it's a deficiency. It's just have some vitamins, or just have some tonic herbs like echinacea or ginseng or something like that. We look at it, it's not always stemming from a deficiency. We actually say is that the problem is coming from what we call an excess condition. There's actually a pathogen or a bug or whatever, and that's what's going into this system, blocking there, and then blockage causes pain. So then just prescribing, say, a tonic is actually going to work against you, because we say that you take in the ginseng or you take in all your vitamins, the bugs really like that. More nutrition, more nutrition for us to eat, so we can get stronger and stay here. And of course, this goes very well against, and I guess the nutritional naturopathic type of approach, whereas our approach would be more is to expel the pathogen. So we might use a herb like pearl barley, which is a sort of a mild diuretic, to urinate out the toxins that are lodged in the muscles.
Sounds too simple, Heiko.
Yeah, well, sometimes the simple things are the best.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got to expel it from our body, so we could here's some laxatives, here's a diuretic, and you're going to be right. Is that what's going to happen?
Well, it's not as easy as that, but that's the basic concept of it. And Chinese medicine, whether it's acupuncture or the herbs, it would be a mix. It would be a mix of strengthening your good energy that's there, but also expelling the bad stuff that's there. The Western medical approach is to try to find a drug to stop the pain.
Yep.
That doesn't sort of get rid of anything, and to be honest, it's not that successful. Otherwise, I wouldn't be having patients coming in with fibromyalgia who are desperate to get off the drugs and say, well, they don't really help, but they help a bit.
Yeah. What are some of the other symptoms we might have?
Yeah, some of the other symptoms that they have, as well as the tiredness, it's what they call like a foggy memory, or the people say, listen, so my brain is like it's full of cotton wool. I just can't think clearly. I can't concentrate. They get forgetful. They have memory problems, difficulty to study. Some of the other symptoms that can be sort of digestive type things, vague sort of maybe bloating, and then that's when other physicians will say, oh no, that's actually not fibromyalgia, that's actually irritable bowel, or that's leaky gut syndrome, or some other problem that they have. So there's sort of like probably half a dozen to 10 different type of symptoms. It can be stiff joints, and they can be stiff sometimes and not other times. So it gets a bit vague for the patient and for the physician. Yeah.
It's hard to see how all those things can be connected to the same thing.
Yeah, and again, you see, in terms of Chinese medicine, if we look at just say the spleen, for example, we say the spleen controls a number of things. One, it controls the muscles. Another one, we say it holds the blood in its vessels. It helps the regulation of the blood. The other one, we say it controls the thinking, or what we call pensiveness. Another one, we say it might control the lips and the eyelids. I mean, there's many different aspects. So then we have a look at, well, okay, fibromyalgia, it's got this symptom, that one. Yes, that's fitting into a spleen pattern, or it's fitting into maybe a liver pattern.
Okay, so you mentioned 10 different types of symptoms at least, and then we talked about diuretics and we talked about laxatives, but with 10 different symptoms, this doesn't mean there's 10 different treatments?
Again, you see, this is the sort of the Western medical approach, because the patient will come in and the main symptom is the pain, and the type of pain that the fibromyalgia people do get, which they'll let you know, it's like a dull, constant, chronic ache. It's not like a sharp stabbing pain, but it's just like this debilitating, and I think it's that fighting that constant feeling that then makes them tired, because they're constantly waking up and fighting against the pain. And again, Western medicine would try to give you one drug for the pain.
Yeah.
And then sort of, well, if you've got another symptom that's bad, and there might be a different drug for that. Acupuncture, Chinese medicine, will look at the whole person, the whole picture, and then work out, well, what's causing these 5, 6 or 10 different symptoms. And I said it might be coming from your spleen or from your liver or from some other imbalance. So, you treat that, and then all of the symptoms picture that's the goal, is to change that. So again, there's not one formula that fits all, or one acupuncture point that fits all. So we have to look at just treating the person holistically.
You've got a saying, haven't you?
Yeah, there's a saying, and there's a bit of a background to that, and it's comes back from some centuries ago. Is that there's one herbal formula can treat 100 different symptoms.
Elaborate on that.
Yeah, and because the one herbal formula, as I said, it might treat, say, for example, kidney yin deficiency, and then we look back at it. The kidneys control a number of aspects of the body. So we say that formula can treat, say, ringing in the ears. It can treat tiredness. It can treat dizziness. It can treat, lower back pain. It can treat sore heels, because the kidneys are controlling all of these functions, so that that one formula could be treating any one of those symptoms. But then the patient might come in and they have ringing in the ears, for example, and in some cases it's coming from the kidneys. In another case, it's coming from the liver. In another case, it's coming from bad blood circulation in the ear. In another case, it might be coming from what we say is too much phlegm in the head.
Wow.
And so then you go for a different formula and a different acupuncture treatment strategy. So that's the saying. It's like that one formula can treat 100 diseases.
Yeah. Sounds like just trying to spew an apple in a big barrel, though.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you work it out? So that's trial and error.
It's not so much trying to, and that's where sort of the traditional Chinese medicine diagnostic system has evolved over centuries, and it's still being refined now, so that we classify the person with all the different signs and symptoms, as opposed to Western medicine is more is to treat the symptom, and from their point of view, it doesn't matter if the patient also has bloated stomach and an achy knee. All we want to do is treat this little bit over here with this drug, and then if that other symptom gets too bad, well, then there's a different drug for that, whereas we look at the whole, all these symptoms are related in some way.
Yeah, right. Okay, so if we want to, we're running out of time. If we want to, we've got fibromyalgia, or in fact anything.
That's right, that's right. As we know, acupuncture treats everything.
We want to come and see you. Where are you, Heiko?
At 206 Charles Street, Hastings. Have a go to my website, which is acu123.co.nz. And I thought, just to finish off the show for us, we're just going to have an old classic that I'm even sure you will approve of, is Tell Me by the Rolling Stones.
Great song, and without further ado, you look after yourself, Heiko. Talk to the same time, same place next week.
Okay, I'll be here.